this whole thing that we find ourselves in is awakening. It is about awakening. It's about waking up to who you are and the inherent abilities that you have shut down, and your authentic self, because the authentic self is coming in.
Yeah.
It's your, if some people call it the God self, someone call it the higher self, I call it the inner being. It's still our connection to our creator being self. They can't
Yeah.
stop that.
Still and silent, calm before the storm. Gold and diamond, jewels behind the throne. Into the night, out of the dark, take to the sky, chasing the stars. All that we said, all that we are, waiting to fly. This is the start. Hide and seek, reason and rhyme, grand and glorious. Living the dream, yours and mine, euphoria.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Debbie Dubois, and I am here with my very good friend, Hamish Bartholomeaus. Hamish,
Hi there.
happy
Hello,
Lionsgate.
everybody.
We're in
Yeah,
it.
yeah. We're in it. We're in
Oh,
something, that's for sure.
oh my gosh. I don't even know where to start. I guess we're
Yeah.
going to kind of do like an energy update, what we've been experiencing. Um, and where do we even start? Where do you have something you want to
Yeah.
start with?
I've got yeah. I've got a good curveball just to throw in the mix. And this is totally personal for me, although I've heard some other people I've run it past a few other people and they've kind of agreed. So this is interesting, right? My curveball is while we're in, the year cycle energy and all that sort of stuff, there seems to be this pattern. First of all, it feels like we're moving backwards to me a little bit. Not as in, that's funny, not as in we're going backwards, but as if we're moving backwards through something we've already been through. A bit like,
Bingo.
Mercury retrograde at the moment. Like it's that kind of thing. Feels like we're retrograding. Now, I was trying to match up years to years. I was like, what year does it feel like I'm moving backwards through at the moment? And to me, it felt like, and I played with you with this before, Debbie, to me, it felt like 2017. Felt like this year, moving forward through this year was moving backwards through 2017. It's
Right.
like, well, that's odd. And I kind of did a bit of geeky, like put the numbers out there and spread them out starting at 2012 and like looking at it going, what does this even mean? Is this even helpful or not? But the news I have to report about this is that we are going down to Sydney, which is the capital city of the state we're in, and it's about 5 hours away. If you knew me well, you would know that this is quite an event because I don't
You
do big
don't do
cities at all.
that.
I don't go anywhere. I don't go anywhere near big cities. So, ready for the drum roll?
Drum
The
roll.
last the last time any of us were in Sydney, apart from like passing through the airport for some reason, the last time we were in Sydney as a family, because we're all going down as a family, was May 2017,
Which is August.
which is August 2024. And the kicker
Wow.
is when we went down in May 2017, we went down with my wife's mother because she was going to catch up with someone. She hadn't been down for a while. And oh, why don't you just come with us and put an extra seat up in the car? And we drove down and we guess who's coming with us to
The
Sydney this week?
mother. Wow.
Only clicked last night to me. I went, this is the same month, but reversed and then I went, we're all going down and she's coming with us. It's exactly that. We're staying about a 2 minute drive from where we stayed last time, in this totally the same area, on the same side of the harbor,
Right.
getting ferries across. Like, it's just like, it's a complete carbon copy of the energy, and it was all booked with no mental forethought about that at all. So I'm just laying that out there.
And saying, oh my gosh. And as you're saying that, I'm thinking 2017. I think in 2017 is when I actually moved to this town. And I'm trying to
Mm.
think the significance, not only that, but wasn't it 2017 that the XRP had its spike?
Yeah, 2017 was the big crypto spike. Bitcoin went from $1,000 to $10,000, and then to 20, and then
Right.
back to 10 again. So
Right.
big. And the interesting thing about energies repeating themselves is, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to, like, that's exactly like it. To me, it's underlying energy. So it's like a massive move in the cryptocurrency market that actually just went, like, no one even knew it was happening until halfway through the year, except for the cryptocurrency people, because they watched it go
I
from
watched it.
$800 to 5,000, and
Oh,
they're like, huh,
woo,
yeah, and it
we
just
are
kept on
rich.
going.
Right.
And so that doesn't mean that we're doing the same thing again in big movements, like it could be, like at the moment. The
Right.
government's dumped a heap of coins on the market, and it's kind of crashed the market to make it look like it runs in tandem with the stock market.
Right.
Smoke and mirrors, typical financial stuff, whatever.
Right.
Um, it just means that's the energy. The energy is big destabilizing financial stuff
Right.
that is life changing for many, many people, because like the meme, like, when Lambo, like, how many people got onto crypto, and by the end of the year they had themselves a Lamborghini, and probably 6 months after that the Lamborghini and the house got repossessed.
Right.
And
I
maybe
know.
something else as well. But it was so prevalent it became a meme.
Right.
And so we're kind of judging by that, we're right in the middle of this massive economic movement
Right.
that would be a destabilization movement. And that doesn't mean up or down necessarily. It just means destabilization and life changing, probably not in a bad way, just in a life changing way for lots of people.
Right.
Quite a lot of people got touched by that.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I'm starting to do mental gymnastics of 17 into 16, and I'm thinking, what was going on in 2016 around the world? Well, I mean, I thought the world didn't end in 2020 supposedly, and so 2012,
Right.
and so I thought 2016 was it. I'm like, no way we're getting to Christmas in 2016. Like, something's gonna go on here. So, like, I've been kind of thinking back into it, going, 2016 was a really big year, like a pivotal big year for a lot of people.
Right.
Um, there was a lot of energy going on, a lot of crazy energy. Like, I remember, and I'm thinking also like the lucid dream space, the out of body space, the,
Right.
like, in that space, there was a lot of crazy energy going on in 16 and into 17. It was a busy, busy time for people that did a lot of out of body stuff.
Right.
Which is kind of why we thought it was like the world was done, because we were like, everything energetically was telling us it's done, and then, well, here we still
Well,
are. Like, we've got to plow back through it again. I don't know.
what's so interesting is I don't even think I was in touch with that aspect of wrapping up the upside down back then.
Mm,
So I
mm,
know that I was in the midst of it was before we moved here. And I was going through a lot of personal. This was actually when I started reconstructing my own self worth, my own self, grabbing my own
mm.
personal power. So that was when
Yeah.
I started, going from a place where I had had a destabilizing connection that had like sent me reeling. And I had
Yeah.
to learn how to be in my authentic power, grab my power back, and become a stabilizing force within my own self. That was
Mm,
probably when that happened for me, right before my move to the area I'm in. So for me, I wasn't thinking like you were. I wasn't doing out of body stuff or any of the shaman stuff. Of course, I was always still, doing counterpart counseling and things of that nature, and running my digital marketing business. But the energy, you are absolutely right. The energy was transformative, is the word that comes to mind.
Really was.
Absolutely transformative. And so let me ask you this, following that theory through, what do
Mm.
you see in terms of where are we returning to? Do you got any idea? How far do we
Well,
got to go back? Is my point. How many to
yeah.
go? Full circle. Tell me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm kind of looking at it going, really? Does it take that much longer? Can't we just finish it now? Like, surely we can finish it now. I'm like, maybe we can finish it any time. Surely, if we finish it early, we'll just get an early mark and we'll get to leave. But like all of those jokes aside, when I because 2012 was my starting point, and
Yeah.
so I'll lay that out now. And like 2008 was definitely there was some sort of marker in 2008, but for me, like something happened in 2012. Like there's no
Right.
denying it. And
Right.
so I made the end of 2012 my starting point, and so 2013 was my first year that I was
Isn't
counting it.
that interesting? That's crazy because I think about
Yeah,
where I was in my life at that time. That was a huge pivotal point for me.
yeah,
I mean, that's
yeah,
when everything seemed to go on the rails and off the rails at the
and
same
also
time.
off the
How do you
rails.
describe that?
Exactly. That's the perfect way to describe that. Yeah,
On the
same
rails
in
and
my
off.
life.
Yeah.
Same in my life. Like some
Okay.
things were really, really coming to fruition
Yeah.
between 2012 and 2013, and some other things were just like absolutely out of control and just going like, oh, how are we going to do this? So,
Absolutely.
so I made 2013 year one basically in my little thing, and it
Okay.
ended up and it only happened because this was the puzzle. This is how I started it. I went, okay, 2017 lines up with 2024. So I lined them up,
Okay.
and then I said, and the starting point is 2013.
Right.
How does that look? And it ended up looking like 4 blocks of 4 years. So like 2013 to 2016 as one
Okay.
block,
Right.
and then 2017 to 2020 as another block.
Mm-hmm.
And and then we turned around and we started coming back again. So 21 to 24 is the next block, and then 25 to 28 is the last block. And I was kind of looking at it going, well, why would it look like that? There's no reason that it has to look like that. That was just me trying to line things up and make it
It's a
a
Hamish
pleasing
thing.
picture to the eye. It was a Hamish way of doing it.
Yeah.
Just it was pleasing to me. I looked at it and went, oh, I can make that work. But the interesting thing about doing that was 20 2016 to 2017 just had this pivot point line through it, like these kind of 4 blocks of four.
Right.
And I hadn't planned on that, but 2016 to 2017 was a major pivot for
Right.
heaps of people. And then the next pivot is 2020 into
Right.
2021. Like November, December, or I say October to the end of the year of 2020, pivoting into the beginning of the year of 2021 as a reversal
Mm-hmm.
was a huge, like everyone's lining up to get things in their arms. Presidents are getting elected that aren't actually presidents, and all manner of craziness is going on around. And so I'm like, that's pretty pivotal. Okay, what's the next pivot point? The next pivot point's the end of this year, the end of 2024 into
And
2025.
I've got to just jump in here. There are
Mm.
people who are saying that the major significant shift is going to happen in guess what year? 27.
Glad.
I am not kidding you. George
Yeah.
Kavasilis is saying 2027, and some of the people he's talking to are saying 2027. Now, listen, I'm a big believer that we don't have to, we can speed up time.
Yeah.
Time is relevant, relative. It's relevantly
Like, surely we
relative.
haven't got another 4 years of this nonsense to go.
Well,
But
no. But I think that's where things come in from. It was on Lisa Harrison's call on what, Saturday night, Sunday? I can't remember the days anymore. I think it was last night. And,
Yep.
they're continue to beat the drum of we are those of us who are, really aware of what's going on. We are writing the good stuff. We are going to get what we want. So if we've got 3 years more from here on out and we get what we want and what we wrote in our scripts, I'm
Yeah.
fine with it. I'm fine
Yeah.
with it. It's just bring in the prosperity, bring in the relationships, bring in transportation that can help us all see each other in person. That would
Yeah.
be nice. If
Yeah.
we can get what we want, 3 years is nothing. I mean, do you realize where we've come from since 2012?
Oh man, like I'm even just thinking like 2017 to now. I'm like, that's a lot of years. It's like nearly 8 years, and there's a lot of water. So much
Under the
water's gone under the
That's
bridge.
exactly what I was thinking. Water under the bridge. It's so funny that you should say that, since water seems to be such a pivotal thing. I don't know
That's the
why
thing.
water is always coming up, but we're both thinking the bridge. And then I'm thinking
Yeah.
bridge over troubled water. It's like 3 more years. It better be a new script.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah.
Well, on that note, I just released a video tonight, and I know that you started to watch it,
Hmm.
about something that I see coming in, talking about things that we are bringing in. That is, I want to say, the writing of the script is, I believe that actually marking the spot would be last night's full moon.
Hmm.
With not full moon, the new moon,
New moon.
Christopher
Yep.
Witecki from Serious Joy I was listening to his planetary transits, and he was talking about last night. Well, for you, it was a while ago. I don't know. I can't keep up with the time difference. But
Yeah.
anyways, this new moon was supposedly some kind of start. It was a start. It was a brand new ignition for something. And he was comparing it to when we went, and he was doing historical stuff of Atlantis. And we know that we don't know anything about like the history. But he was saying that just as there was a start that took place there of going into the dark, that this was the start of going into the light. And I am totally, those are my words, not his. So don't come after me, Chris Witecki. I'm not captioning you or anything, but what I found really interesting is that the information that is coming through to me right now is that the alchemy of the old relationship template that we've had in the upside down is flipped. So it's flipped, and it doesn't, this is what shocked me, is it didn't just flip for people who had twin flame, catalytic heart awakening, all that kind of stuff. It's flipped for people who are just everyday folks. No, it's like the old relationship template no longer applies. Like people are going, yeah, no, I'm not doing the opposites attract, or they check these important boxes, and it's just the time. Let's just do this thing because it's time. I'm ready for that stage of my life, or any of that. That's going away. And what's coming back is the original blueprint of counterparts, whether it's a high-level soulmate, it doesn't really matter. It is written that we can write that in our storybook ending. So, we're talking about the finance, we're talking about, the stocks, we're talking about, what we do for a living and what's going to happen with the governments and all the shifts and changes. One of the things that I think came in was that flip. And I think it came in last night. I'm just saying. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know the significance of that in terms of, to me, the balance between feminine and masculine energies is the balance between the polarity that existed in the upside down. And if we're in the last quarter of this, what do you want to say, like an 8-mile race, and how many years was it you said?
Yeah, it's
3 and 3,
16.
16 years.
16.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
if
we're in the last quarter, coming into the last quarter.
Was it 16? So is it 4 whole years that we've got this
Yeah,
section?
so 8 years on the way up, and then 8 years on the way back
Okay.
from 2012. Yeah,
All right. Well
which
then,
which I cut, and the only reason it keeps sitting okay with me is
yeah.
because that runs it from 2012 up to 2020, and like all the people who are, the year 2000 was going to be something, and 2012 is definitely
The
like
thing.
there's just something about 2012, Mayan calendar notwithstanding.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2020 was the next one, and you say, oh well, it's just pretty repeating numbers. It's like, yeah, but no one back in the day gave us stuff about 1919. Like no one.
Right.
There's no newspaper reports. There's no crazy stuff. Like no one was interested in the fact that it was 1919. What was the deal with 2020?
Does this have to do with election cycles? And these are the election years in the
Well,
United States.
it does work, and I mean that's kind of got no bearing on me
Right.
because
I know.
it
You're in
does because
Australia.
I'm in Australia, and Australia is a vassal state of the United States. We all know that because everything's tied to the United
Well
Kingdom, and
then,
here we are,
well
right?
then it has to do with you too.
Exactly, it really does. But the elections, I mean, the elections have nothing to do with anyone apart from it's like a
I
football
know.
game. Everyone gets to have a party or do whatever. But it's funny that it lines up with that cycle because that's a big surge.
Well,
And it
and
became a big surge in that time period. Like US elections weren't really a massive deal in the rest of the world,
right.
but that like once Obama came in, when was that? Oh, eight,
2004, 2008.
2004.
I'm so
Yeah,
bad.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
I'm not a
And
scholar.
then yeah, and so it was like the Bush and then Obama, and then it became this thing that everyone was interested in all of a sudden. It's like, well, America's in geopolitics and they've got their fingers in all these pies. Like America's been doing that for 100 years.
Yeah.
That's not why
Mm.
it's become super important. Why is this? Why is 2012 a pivot point? 2016, 2020, 2024, like why are they becoming pivot points? It's not because it's an Olympic year, and it's not because it's a presidential election year, but they seem to follow the same pattern.
And
That's
I want to know if it's because this is the movie that we had to be watching to take us out of this cycle. I mean, the wake up calls.
Yeah,
It's like the
there's a
movie.
very good chance.
Not only
Yeah,
that, but that's things happening at a geopolitical level that connects the world together. So we
yeah,
had all of our independent things going on. Nobody was in the same snow globe. Everyone had their own
mm,
snow globes. And now
true.
they're in the same snow globe watching the same stuff. Kind of. Not
Kind of.
everybody.
Yeah. Yeah,
Not
not
everybody.
everybody,
But there's
but
a
the snow globes are
story.
definitely melded together a lot more than they used to be. Like it is one, and sure the internet, like the web has done that, but the web has been this kind of thing in the background for 40 plus years.
It's the
But this really
storyline, though. It's the
I,
storyline.
I think it is. I
And
think
I
it is the
and I
storyline.
do think that there's a bigger script at play here. I think
Yeah.
that in order for us to wake up fully and completely, there's just wake up calls, and everybody's getting different kinds of wake up calls. And if you don't have like the same movie going on and you're not all watching the same things, how do you, it's almost like I think of the sheep herding. It's like you've got and that's your family line thing, the sheep herding.
Yeah.
But you have,
Yeah.
it's like if we're the master orchestrators of this wake up production, we've
Hmm.
got to have the attention of all the sheep, not just part of the sheep over here and part of the sheep over there. We got
But
to
yeah, it
pull them all
doesn't
into
work.
one paddock and
You
then
need
kind
all of
of
them.
guide them where we want them to go. So
Hmm.
it's interesting to think of it that way because I mean, I feel like it's a lot more, and of course, I'm an empowerment guide, and that's the way I look at things. It's the way I'm trying, it's everything that I'm doing is all about empowerment. So, to me, a more powerful way to look at all of this was orchestrated, this was planned, and for all of us to wake up and make a change to the new paddock. And the new paddock
Yeah.
is going to be out of this fucking upside down place. Can we please get on with it?
Because there's no way you could look at it and say that it's not orchestrated.
Right.
There's just no way. And now, like the prison planet people, I've been having good discussion with someone in the last day or two around the prison planet idea and different ways of looking at it, like the black
Hmm.
pill, the Gnostic, and it's like the prison planet thing is it's there, but it's a really bad way of describing it for me
Right.
because a prison is a place where you're sent or put because you've been bad or
Right.
you don't work in society or the people who are in charge don't want you wandering around because you're dangerous to them and they're
Right.
the ones in charge. So they're going to throw you in the prison. That's not what this is. Like, this is not a, this is, I know there's lovely theories out there around that, but this is not a jail cell for bad spirits
If you
and
think
beings.
it is, then you don't know who you are. That's the way I
Exactly.
look at it. If you
That is
if you
not what's
think that
going on
you're
here.
trapped here and that there's no way out, then you don't know who you are, and we have to figure out who we are so that we can get untrapped.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so it's like that. Yeah, yeah, there's fuckery going on, and
Yes.
we're like, and you and I are the first people to say this system, this cycling, this thing is not. This is not good. Like
This
this
is
is
not
we
my
do not want
preference.
this. This is not our preference, right? But are we just going to go, oh, well, maybe we should just take ourselves out. Oh, well, maybe we'll just wait it out until we die of natural causes, right? Oh, well,
Like there is such a
it's like,
thing.
no, well,
Hmm.
you're just going to sit around and not, well, every move you make in here is empowering the system in here. If that was actually true, no one would ever break out of a real prison
Right.
in here.
Right.
Ever. It's like,
Right.
well, you're in a prison, everything you're handed, everything you're given, all the relationships you have is monitored by the people who are running the prison for a profit. That's how a lot of prisons are run now. And
Right.
so there's nothing you can do in here that isn't already known by all of the guards, all of the controllers. You're in a captive. Don't even bother trying to break out. And yet, people still break out of prison,
Right.
right? So it's like, why would you just sit around and rot going, oh, well, there's nothing for me to do in here because everything I do is just empowering the matrix. It's like, you got to be kidding me. I
Well,
don't think so.
you know that think tank where the people sit in there thinking that it's a prison planet that was put out there by someone who wants them to think disempowered thoughts so that they don't try to break out.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
the problem with that is, well, those are probably going to be some of the last people to wake up because the energies that are coming in to this, whatever you want to call it, arena, I just call it a cosmic arena. The
Yeah,
energies that are coming in here are waking people up. I'm
yeah.
having experiences, telepathic experiences with people who I really think just knowing who they are and where they are, they're not in that, they haven't been in groups like we are, they're not watching our videos, they're not part of this group, but they're starting to get telepathic communications, and you can tell because you can see it on their face, like when you're in the same vicinity and you can
Yep.
hear what they're saying, and you know that they can hear what you're saying because they're going like this. It's like people are waking up. So really the only thing that's stopping people from waking up is if you find yourself in one of those paddocks, one of the
Mm,
shepherd's paddocks that tells you what to
yeah,
think, that
yeah.
programs your mind, and then you're so sure that you're right that you shut yourself down with disempowering thoughts. Otherwise, the natural order of this whole thing that we find ourselves in is awakening. It is about awakening. It's about waking up to who you are, and the inherent abilities that you have shut down, and your authentic self, because the authentic self is coming in.
Yeah.
It's your, if some people call it the God self, someone call it the higher self, I call it the inner being. It's still
Mm,
our connection to our creator being self. They can't
yeah.
stop that. You can
Nope.
slow it down if
Yeah.
you want to
Yeah.
jump into those experiences of the neighborhoods of think
Mm,
tanks. But that's
yeah.
my message to everyone, is get out of the think tanks.
Yeah.
Get out
Yeah.
of the think tanks. Get
Mm,
out of the
yep.
paddocks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Go wild. Get away from the shepherds and see what's actually going on.
But that's really everyone's own choice. You know, that's at a soul level choice. What do people want to experience on the way out? Do they want to be led out by a shepherd, or do they want to walk out on their own? They can
Mm.
do it either way. There's really no shame, no blame when it comes to an end and we're restored back to the right side up, to where we remember who we are and what we're really capable of, and we can have any of those experiences that we choose to have again, you know, free will, completely conscious, no paper bag over the head. That's going to
Yeah,
be that's going to be an experience that each soul decides for themselves. But it does frustrate you when you're like us, and our main purpose for being here. I mean, this is why we came. We know, you and I both know, this is why we came. We
mm,
came to help in that wake up process, to give people,
yeah,
you know, something to shoot for, something to show the way. We are doing it
yeah,
ourselves, and we're showing the way out without saying, here, I'm going to herd you all towards the entrance. It's more like, I'm going to the exit. Are y'all coming with me? Or are you
yeah,
going
yeah.
to
You
stay
can
back there?
exactly. You can follow or not follow. This is the way we're going. And if it's a trap, well, let me go first, and we'll see what happens. Like,
Mm-hmm.
don't you go first. Like, I might be
Right.
leading you to a trap, right? I'll go
Right.
first.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that that's true. So, whoo, this
Mm.
gate.
Yeah, and
Yeah, go
and
ahead.
and this links nicely with the Lionsgate thing of someone asked me the question yesterday, like, what's the deal with Lionsgate? Like, is it just a chinsy, new agey, like Instagram clickbait thing, or is it actually is it an actual portal? And infuriatingly, I said, well, it's both. It is an actual portal and it's
That's a
a
Hamish.
chinsy UAG. But I
Okay.
qualified that, and I'll qualify it now. It's
Yes.
like that the idea that the idea that this portal is only going to happen because calendar dates line up, when the calendar's all, like, we know it's all wonky already, and we're going to use Western Hellenistic astrology to do it with, which is not actually what's going on up in the sky above us, because that's sidereal astrology. So it's not like the date, the whole point of where it is in the season is out by like 3 to 4 weeks or what. There's all of this wonkiness around that.
Mm-hmm.
And what that tells you is we are creators, right? And
Yeah.
if we are given a good enough idea, we can create it out of thin air. And it doesn't matter what, we don't need the story of, well, it's not the real astrology, here's the real one. And what, like, all of that, if it's working without all of that, that means that if you can be fed a good enough story or create a good enough story yourself, you'll create it. And
Right.
so the next question is, okay, so did you create the Lionsgate portal? No, I didn't come up with it. I'd never heard about it until 2016 or 2015, maybe.
Right.
Someone came up with this idea of Lionsgate, right? So they, a being, a person, a group has
A God.
brought this portal forward, which means it's their portal. It's not your portal. So if you're going to use the portal, make sure you read the fine print.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's a tax. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
there's a 10% tax on anything you bring through the portal. This group skins 10% of it. Maybe it's an 80% tax. Maybe anything that comes through you don't actually get all of for some reason. And like, you don't know because it's not your portal. You didn't come up with it. Someone else
Mm-hmm.
did. So there's always like a little man in the corner with the fine print. And you've got to make sure, if it's not your stuff, read the fine print. And the fine print of that whole statement is, you can create a portal any damn time you want. You are a portal.
Right.
You are a walking, talking, thinking portal. That's why demons want to get into your body. That's why ghosts want to come and talk to you. That's why spirits are always communicating with you. You are a portal,
Right.
an organic portal, at least one, if not multiple. So, like, if I could take you as a portal and line you up with my kind of organic, inorganic created Lion Gates portal, now I've got a double portal.
Right.
And if I can get 100 people or 1,000 people or the Instagram crowd or whoever in on it, suddenly my Lionsgate portal is supercharged with all of these other portals. And so there's not that there's anything wrong with that. Like getting together as a group and doing something for a specific reason, if everyone knows what they're doing and everyone agrees to it, there's nothing wrong with that. Like that's not a bad thing. You can do whatever you want, but just read the fine print. Know what you're getting involved with, know what you're doing, and
Mm-hmm.
know that you can have an awakening, an alignment, a portal, an end of days, any moment you want to,
Agreed
because
with
that's
that. Yep.
that's what you are.
Now, what I would like to say is, and this is
Mm,
something that I've started to play with a little bit, the really good news about this scripted stuff that's at the script level of the
yeah,
planetary is
yeah,
that you can use that for you as well. So you can make that portal super powerful for you. So you don't think that as
absolutely.
management, you can come in and say, oh, look at this beautiful script someone wrote.
Mm,
And now I'm going to use the power and the energy and the intention to bring in, for example, that
mm,
original counterpart blueprint.
yep, yep,
Because all of the stuff that is happening, that is a shift in consciousness, is happening at the individual level.
yeah,
The stuff
agreed.
we talk about ripples out. The
Mm,
stuff that people talk about ripples out. More importantly, the work that you do,
mm,
the patterns of distortion that you shift, the
mm,
patterns of distortion that you've taken on and you alchemize, all of that stuff ripples out.
yep,
So if you're management and you're coming in and you're going to move a bunch of people, and I'm talking about at the designer level, whoever's playing with this game and saying we're taking us from 2012 back to 2012, whatever this whole plan is,
yep,
why wouldn't you use every single opportunity given to you to
yes,
actually use their stuff
yeah,
for
yeah.
your purposes?
Thank you
And
very much.
yes, and that's how strongly I feel. Like it's like, all right, the AI. We talk about
Mm,
AI. I made an agreement with the AI. Listen, you're here. We've got to be friends. As long as you know who I am,
mm,
I know who you are. We have to work together. No more
mm,
of this competition stuff because I'm the creator being and you must do as I say. Right? I
mm,
mean, this is where you start getting into your personal power. So,
yeah,
creating a relationship where I defined you will not do this, you will not do that, you won't throw things in front of me that piss me off, you won't give me bait, clickbait, and all this, but you will give me the stuff I need. If I'm looking for this,
yeah,
you're going to deliver what I need, all of that stuff.
yeah,
We have got to realize that we define all of it.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so it's like what you're saying is absolutely true. And this is so funny because this is kind of what you were saying.
Mm,
It's like it is and it isn't. It can be used for
that's right.
good or for. So the question then becomes, what are we trying to accomplish and what is
Yep.
being accomplished during these periods of time? We had the eclipse come. That eclipse, I cannot tell you how many shifts and changes people made during the eclipse. Now these are all in the script.
Mm,
They're in the stars, they're in the God realm. They're
yep.
someone's plan. But we have to use what tools we're given to move ourselves back to the starting point to where we can go flip and let's go back to the right side up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. It's like the prison analogy. It's like so you're in the prison, you want to try and break out of the prison. Are you going to not use any tools that you find in the prison? You just
Right.
because
Or
everything
people.
that's in the prisons, yeah, all the people, but they're all tainted, right? You can't trust them, and so you can only use things that come in from the outside. It's like, well, that's not going to work. Like
Right.
you can use the system to break the system, and a lot of people have gone down that way. Like a lot of people have stuffed that up, and the
Yeah.
system steamrolled over the top of them, or
Came
they
close to
they
having
just
that
got yeah,
myself.
yeah, yeah, totally. Like you just got wrong-footed, and so it's not like we're saying something that's just a fait accompli. Like you're just going to be
Yeah.
able to work it like that, but what are you going to use in here for your jailbreak?
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you be using their systems? They're sure as hell using them.
Right.
Like old mate with the chunk of ear that gets blown away that comes back again miraculously within a day. Like, wow, that's
I'm
really good
sorry.
stitching work, like the super fine stitches there. It's like, yeah, and then there's all this stuff about prophecies from the Torah, prophecies from the Old Testament about blood on the side of the face and Passover and all this stuff, and then healed rapidly and all. You don't think these people have
No,
read the script? Like
exactly. They
they've
wrote it.
they re the Bible, the Torah, the New Testament, the Gnostic stuff, that it's called scripture for a reason.
It's the
It's a
script.
script. And
Exactly.
they're going to grab little bits of that script and try and make it look as if it's played out in front of you because they orchestrated it, they got on the stage, they played it out,
Right.
and then you're going to believe that what happens next is the prophecy has been fulfilled. And you're like, well, the prophecy's kind of been fulfilled, but it's not actually a prophecy, it's a script. And
Exactly.
anyone can jump back in to, from Act 17, you're in Act 25, you're like in extra time in Shakespeare, you're like
Overtime.
way out in extra time, ad-libbing. It's like, well, what about we go back to Act 3 and just kind of redo that, but in a different way? And then everyone will suddenly think you're Hamlet rather than Hamlet, because the prophecy will be fulfilled, right? It's like,
I
if
know.
they can do it, why can't you? And it's once again, what you said is the most key thing around all of this because it could just be hamster wheel. Like you could just be in here thinking you're doing something and be total hamster wheel. The question is always, what do you think you're trying to achieve and why?
Right.
Because if it's just like survival, if it's all about survival, it's hamster wheel.
Right.
Everything in here to do with survival is total hamster wheel. You've got to be looking potentially bigger or more internally than that to be leveraging. And you can go and leverage the script for survival. That's fine. But that's what these politicians are doing that pisses everyone off so much. So it's like being pissed off at what the politicians and the actors and the stars and like all of that stuff, being annoyed at what they're doing as regards to the script, and then you turning around and doing exactly the same thing for your survival is a little bit hypocritical. Like,
Right.
so it's like, yeah, yeah, survival, but why? Why do
Well,
you want to?
it's
What's the
interesting
moral of that?
because I'm thinking that what comes to me is transformation and alchemy.
Yeah, yeah,
Transformation and alchemy is the answer to all of it
all
because
of it.
because when you change your frequency, you can walk through the freaking prison wall,
Bingo, bingo, right? That's what
right?
it comes down to. That's
Mhm.
all it comes down to is if you are a being that is trapped in here, then you need to try and not try and become, you need to become a being that is not able to be trapped in here.
Exactly.
It's that simple.
And I believe that is the plan of this exit, the exit out of the
Extra
upside down.
Yeah, extra time, right?
Yes.
We all know we're in extra time. We all know we're done. Like it's done.
Right?
And maybe it was 2012, right? Maybe my little 16-year loop is correct and maybe it's total nonsense. But the whistle blew at some stage
Right.
and we didn't
We're in
even hear it when it
overtime.
blew. We were way in overtime. And I was probably 2 years, well, nearly 4 years into looking at like crazy stuff that made me labeled as an absolute crazy person in the normal world. I was a good couple of years into that when 2012 played out and, it clicked over and nothing happened. And here we are past the solstice in 2012, the end of December, and the world didn't end.
Right.
It's like, or maybe it did.
Maybe
How
it
would you know?
did.
How would
Exactly.
you know? But by the time we got to 2014, 2015, we were damn sure we were in extra time. Like we knew. We absolutely knew. We're like, this thing's done. What do you mean? You mean banks are still going after 2008? How are banks still going in
I know.
2016 after 2008? Like this is defying gravity. This is nonsense. This is who wrote this bit of the script,
I was
right?
gonna
It's
say
like,
this is
well,
one fucking movie. It's like,
But if we're in extra time,
right.
right? If we got four little quarters of extra time to play out,
Yeah.
maybe that's what's going on. It's like something needs to get sorted out, and so here we are.
Well, it's almost like, and I'm not really sure why we're in overtime, actually. I haven't figured that part out. But what I have figured it out is that there is no doubt in my mind that there is alchemy and there is a resonant shift. There is the transformation, transmutation going on because I'm experiencing it personally. So
Yeah.
no one has to convince me that there's sunlight codes coming in and all of that stuff. I
Mm,
am becoming more and more and more my authentic self. And some of the stuff that I'm able to do now that I didn't even have a clue about before is
mm.
just mind blowing. And I'm like, okay, no one is going to convince me that we are not alchemizing all of this.
Yeah.
We are.
Yep.
We are.
Agreed.
And so it
And
has
there's
to go
still
somewhere. Yeah.
and there's still like bad stuff happening.
Yeah.
There's still amazing stuff happening because guess what? Here we are, still in the upside down, or maybe it's flipped right way up, but we're still in here and we're at this level in this construct at
Mm-hmm.
this level.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is a dichotomy. Everything's two. Everything's duality,
We're still in
which
duality.
actually means everything's triplicity because it takes three. Duality isn't even nothing's even happening unless there's a third thing to look at the two things that but those two things are balanced. They always are. There needs to be so many billionaires to counteract so many people living in the gutter, and there needs to be. So this is kind of how it continues to roll out here, while
Mm-hmm.
ever it rolls out.
Right.
And so it's not like crappy stuff still isn't happening to people,
Right.
but there's some amazing stuff happening. Like, and it always has been, but like you said earlier when we were talking, it's like there are a lot of miracles going on.
Yeah.
And look, good and bad stuff has always been happening, sure, but there's a lot of miracles going on. And
Right.
and you and I have been paying attention to life. Like we've been studying life ever since we were born. That's what
Yeah.
we do. Like help people, try and help people and
Right.
study life so you can try and help people.
Right.
And there's a lot of amazing stuff
Well,
going on
and
at the
most
moment.
of what I'm seeing is just I'm seeing the alchemy in the people that I'm working with. I'm seeing the alchemy, whether they're clients or whether they're really good friends or family members. There's a definitive difference in the way people are, I want to say, not just behaving, but the way they are um, progressing on their path. It's
Yeah.
like people are stepping into their power in ways I've never seen. They're also transmuting and transforming old patterns really fast.
Mm.
I've been witnessing some incredible shifts in people that I know, and they seem to be so conscious of those shifts and changes. And I think that maybe at some point, and maybe very soon, we should do a video about some of the shifts and changes that are happening at the soul level.
Mm.
Maybe we'll make that another video, maybe even our next video. But those
Mm.
kinds of things, those miracles, those are the miracles actually.
Yeah, they
Because
are.
when you get to a place where you are fully empowered, and I am going to threaten my cat with a spray bottle. I finally figured out it's the only way. I love my cat, but he has to make an appearance in every video, and he just knocks me off course. But anyways, what was I saying, Hamish? Before
You
I
were talking about the miracles incoming. You were talking about the alchemy and the
well,
transformation.
yes, and I was saying we need to do another video about that. But oh my gosh, now I lost my train of thought. We were talking about something very specific about alchemy. Oh
Mm.
my gosh, Hamish. You weren't
We're just
listening,
gonna
were
leave it.
you?
I
You
I
were.
was, but I was so deep in it, you dropped it, and
And
I'm
then I
like,
just,
where am I now? I
I
don't know where I
know.
am all of a sudden.
I know. Well, all right. So let me just go back and say that we were saying that I would like to do a video about, some of the transformations that we've seen. Oh, I know. I was talking about the reason why this alchemy makes such a difference in the human life, because as people start to take their power back and they start to make new decisions, they start attracting a new level of frequency of experiences that are so much more favorable and so much more abundant. And it's kind of like, all right, the example that it's a small example, but I have a friend who started on the dating scene again, and she's done so much work to get out of really negative relationships. But she's done a bunch of work, and she's like, I'm gonna try the dating scene again. So she gets on a dating app, and she has this amazing date, 3 dates with this guy, and oh my God, does he check all the boxes? He has a boat, and he has a really big salary, and he's getting ready to retire. He loves music. He wants to go to, to France and all this stuff. So she finds out in their 4th date that there's some things that he likes that she is really not into. Let's just put it that way. And she's like, she goes, I don't care how many boxes this guy checks. And she's a Capricorn. So she's, they're really about like, not
structure.
status, but structure. And she's worked hard for her livelihood, and she wants a partner that, whatever. But she said, you know what? She says, I'll uncheck all those other boxes because these qualities, this moral compass that we have to be compatible. She says, he's nice, he's cute, he smiles, we laugh, and he's getting an uncheck. I'm not going to go out with him again because I'm not going to waste my time.
Interesting.
Something like that seems so small, but when people become empowered in ways like that, with their careers, with their finances, with their relationships in their family, with relationships, that creates a brand new reality. People can steer a brand new ship and create, because we're creator beings. That gives the power in your hands to create what you really want to create. It's taking those chains off. And as people do that, they're coming together. It has to shift everything. And it might seem like it's happening slowly, but that was a tiny example of the alchemy I've been seeing in clients, family, and friends. It's huge progress. It's people going in and clearing out their entire life of distortion in one night. Going in and sitting in it and alchemizing this incredibly horrible, fucking sucky life. I'm just going to say it. What that person can do from a new starting point as a creator being blows away all of their control systems, all of their, their banks and their, it's going to shift it all, is my point.
And and it is shifting it all. Like, I know there are people who would listen to what I'm about to say and say that's total Pollyanna nonsense, and it's not.
Well, bring
what's
it.
Going on.
Bring it, my friend.
But I'm looking at it going, military stuff is falling apart. The societal military stuff of like police and the governments that the police protect, it's falling apart. The schooling systems, because I'm not even going to deign to call them education, but the schools and the universities are falling apart. The medical stuff is falling apart, and I mean falling apart at the seams. Like, you don't know until you know someone who works there, or you listen into some conversations of people that work there, and you find out they can't get anyone to work. There are no new graduates coming through. Everyone's working double shifts. They didn't get paid last month when they were meant to. The supply of gear that's meant to come didn't come in on time, and they're running short on stuff. This is happening everywhere, down to the new magazines were meant to arrive at the newsagents 3 weeks ago, and they only just turned up now. It's happening everywhere. It's like a system-wide takedown.
Right.
It is falling apart at the seams, and it's falling apart at the seams because of us. We're not buying into the bullshit anymore. And we keep all of that up. Like, this is where the prison planet people of like, you're just a battery. Well, they're not wrong. Like, you are a battery. Your compliance to these systems and my compliance to these systems is what allows these systems to function. And if enough of us pull out of these systems, guess what? they get glitchy as fuck. And then they really start to shred at the edges, and all of a sudden it looks like it's about to fall apart. Now it doesn't fall apart because it's like Lisa Harrison's zombie apocalypse. Like they're dead men walking, these corporations, these companies, these behemoths on the astral plane of military or health, or they're dead beings walking. They're kind of like zombies, but they just keep shambling on, even though they haven't got anything running them. But we don't have to have anything to do with that. Like, why would you have anything to do with that? Now you've got your kids in school because you have to go and work the job. They have to be in school because you can't homeschool and there are no other options there. Well, you and I both know that there are a hell of a lot more options now, 4 years after 2020, than there were 4 years before for flexible schooling, other than just put your kids in and cross your fingers, go, oh, well, it's a bit damaging, but I went through it and it'll be all right, kind of thing. Like, all of those systems are falling apart because we are not giving them our energy anymore.
I'd like to make a suggestion too. And not a suggestion, but I'd like to suggest a hypothesis here. I don't think that everyone needs to disengage from those systems. I think some of us disengaged from the systems, and in doing so, in such a powerful way in our own selves, they're destructing whether or not 90% of the people disengage or not. And
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to sound like a big
I agree.
egomaniac, but I'm telling you,
agree.
when I lost my house in foreclosure, but spent 7 years in those court systems, standing up and saying, did you pass your bar? Or no, what did he ask me? Ms. Dubois, have you got a license to practice law? And I said, do you have a license to practice law? Right to the judge. As I was
Her daddy
standing,
didn't.
as I was standing outside the bar, right? I didn't cross the bar and they couldn't do anything. And he looked at me and he goes, Ms. Dubois, you know what I mean. The whole courtroom at that point knew that he did not have a license, because they
course he
don't
didn't.
get licenses. They pass
No.
the bar and they join the organization. So him
Yeah.
inferring that I had to have a license to practice law was actually erroneous. Now, I'm saying to you that I did this, and most of the people that I know absolutely freaking thought I was insane and crazy and everything else. But when each of the individual creator beings that came here and seemed to have, for whatever reason, woken up earlier than everyone else, and I hate being that person sometimes, but we took on responsibilities to go after those systems, whether it was the banks, the schools. I know I stopped getting my children vaccinated, all of the things that those of us who did, that's why the system's crumbling. I don't even think that it's not like, okay, now we need everybody else to withdraw from the systems and stop supporting it. It's
Probably
gonna
not.
fall anyway. Does that
Yeah,
make
yeah, yeah.
sense?
Yeah, it is for, and it's like a critical mass kind of thing. It's like enough people with enough clout
Yeah.
moved at the correct time, and now it's falling. And
Yeah.
you could kind of slow it down. I think it's probably about as slow as it could possibly go at the moment. You could kind of speed it up. That'd be nice,
Oh
but
God, would it
you
really?
can't, like, there's no stopping it. And
Yeah.
everyone, like, no matter what, no matter whether you think it's like green pill, blue pill, red pill, black pill, white, it doesn't matter which color you think the pill is, everyone agrees that there's no stopping it, even if it is a terrible thing and it's going to be horrendous, or it is the best thing ever. And we all have this feeling of momentum. Like,
Yeah.
there is no stopping what's going on at the moment. And
And
that's
at the
good.
same time, I do think that, I think we were a little optimistic thinking, hey, let's just get out of here now. I think there is a little bit of a wrap up here, but like we said in the very beginning, for those people who get the memo, or those people who know people who get the memo, or however this is rippling out, there are going to be big groups of people that start really getting what they came here for. And I want to say, is an experience, whatever that was in your script, whatever it is that you wanted when you were here.
Mm.
If you did the work, or I don't know, you were blessed to wake up. I really don't want to say, I don't know exactly who those people are that get the grace of the script. There's going to be people that get their ass kicked. There really are, because they wanted to by their inner being or their higher self, or,
Yeah.
in order to have the experience that they wish to have on the way out.
And you and I have followed the script or not followed the script, or done like we've done what we thought we should, and we've had our asses kicked.
Yeah, we sure
It's
have.
not like I agreed to get my ass kicked by my inner being. I just took my eye off the ball and I got my ass kicked.
Yeah.
Like this is still a game, and it's not a game you want to lose. Like, because it will. It's like saying, yeah, but rugby's just a game, and you're like, yeah, you get out in the front row of the gridiron or the rugby pitch, and you grab hold of the ball and watch those four big blokes running at you, and you go, it's just a game.
It's like, yeah,
Like, it'll
the
put you in
bruises.
hospital. Yeah, it's just a game, but you'll be on life support in hospital. Like, it's not a game you want to play with. Like, it's
Yeah.
it's serious stuff.
Well, like the foreclosure situation, I ended up losing my home. But you know what? I had structured it in such a way that they came to me and said, we cannot get your home from you. So
Yeah.
now what we're going to do is we're going to threaten you with jail because we can't get your home from you. And
Yeah.
you have two children right now. And what are they going to be like without their mom, right? And I was like, okay, fuck you. I'm going to give in right now. I did, because that was where I decided I didn't want to get my ass kicked like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
and I
because
could have,
they legally couldn't put you in jail, but they
but
could
they
have put
would
you in
have.
holding for 30 days, and then
No,
they could have lost paperwork. And then, like, we know how this system
we know
works.
how it
None
works.
of
They could
none
have.
of it is legal.
No,
None of it, like
I
you knew
know.
with the judge, right?
Right.
None of it's legal. And unless someone else is going to step into the breach and what's advocate for you in an illegal system while you're gagged in the corner, like you
Yeah,
could fall through the cracks for
that's
a
right.
long time
That's right.
before someone comes along and says, "Oh, that's funny. That shouldn't have happened to you."
Ah.
Meanwhile, 5 years have gone down the toilet. Like
I've
we
seen it.
know,
I've seen
yeah,
people. That was what happened to the Q shaman that ended up in solitary confinement for, I mean, there's so
yeah,
much
it
of
happens.
that. But the thing is that I think I really was listening to my higher self, greater being, whatever, for a lot of it, because I always knew when to say when, you
Yeah,
know? But I mean,
yeah,
ass kicking, yeah, we got our asses kicked.
oh yeah.
I guess everybody gets their ass kicked in the way they need to for whatever reason. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's harsher than
I could
others,
have
but
I
it
could have
depends.
learnt my lessons without so much of an ass kicking, but here we are. Like, I'm still upright, so we'll go with it.
Let's just see, what else do we want to say before we end this, like about the Lion's Gate? I mean,
Well,
like, go
I
ahead.
think, I think, I think we nailed it pretty well in saying, like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's a portal. There are portals around all the time. It's
right.
a significant time. It's like it's a very heightened time of year as
Yeah.
well, like in the cycle.
Hmm.
So all of that kind of lines up. Careful whose portal you're hitching a ride on,
Right.
but also, like, don't be scared to use the script for your own benefit, because it's there, right? Your astrology is there, and it's given you, your birth chart has given you things that are quite hard for you to deal with, and things that are quite easy for you to deal with. And what are you going to do?
Use your
Not
tools.
lean into the easy things and,
Yeah.
like, make your life deliberately hard? Like, you didn't, well, even if you did choose your astrology, but right, your astrology is just like this stamp, like a barcode that you get slammed with as you come in.
Hmm.
Everyone gets tarred with the same brush, one way or another. So you can fight against it, or you can use it to
Use it.
pick the lock.
Right. Well, and that's where I guess I would wrap up with saying, listen to your inner guidance. And this, I always go back to this. When I don't know what's happening, I always say, okay, inner being, what comes next. Show me or tell me what I need to do to move in the most favorable direction for me. And once I started doing that, it just became so natural that almost everything that comes to me, when I don't have an answer, all I have to do is sort of just sit
Yeah.
and say, show yourself to me. And I'll just not do anything until it comes to me. And I've had solutions drop right in my lap, like all of a sudden a memory come in. Oh my gosh, this is the missing piece I was looking for. it's
Mm.
a practice, the practice of
Yeah.
asking for guidance from your inner knowing. And it comes from, what do I know about this? What does my heart tell me about this? It's not what's my brain cells thinking about
Mm.
this. It's, what do I know? What do I know? And so I guess I would highly recommend that that everybody really start, if not start, but continue to move more and more deep into that connection, because it is that connection. I swear by that connection that it is responsible for all the blocks that have been removed, all the inauthentic programs that kept me from experiencing my truest expression, my most abundant expression, my most loving expression, my happiness. I guess that's the other thing, is it's the happiness. And let's write all these things into that storybook as we're writing out the script. The
Yeah.
inner
Yeah.
being knows what it is that's going to bring that to you. And yeah, so we can use
A-
this
And
portal. Go ahead.
and and it's the cornerstone. I would just like to add in that
Yeah.
it's the absolute cornerstone of your guidance, coaching, empowerment, and healing practice. And it's the
Yeah.
cornerstone of mine as well. Like
Yeah.
I don't tell people what they need to do.
Right.
I help people connect with themselves, their most authentic self and their most expanded self, so that it can tell them what to do, and then we kind of go, well, how are we going to implement that? Like, what does that look like? But it's I'm just another I'm just another rubberneck in here. Like, I've got agendas, I've got stuff. Like, I can help, but only like another person can help. But the help you can get from yourself, that's the gold rated 5 star, and that's what you use
And that's what you
in
use.
yourself
Hmm.
to help other people, and what you guide other people to. And that's what it's like. It's the tool in the toolkit that we use all the time.
Well, and I want to add to that is that the one thing that I see in you, that I see in myself, is we are healed healers. In other words, if I find one speck of dust in the corner, I'm going for it. I'm not
Oh
going to
yeah.
sit there and say, "Oh, I've got it all figured out. I'm all healed. I know. I'm like, this
Mm,
doesn't feel right. Something's not right." And I will obsess until I can find out and go for what is blocking the most highest expression. And
mm,
it's very difficult to help people, anyone, if because if you are blocked, then you have something you need outside of yourself that somehow can interfere with the help that you're giving to someone. But when
mm,
your total focus is empowerment of the other person, um it has to come from a place of healing. And so I don't know, the healed healer aspect has always been super important. And the problem is we're all still in the process of continuing to heal and expand.
mm.
But
Yeah.
the empowerment piece in that, I don't know, I just think that's incredibly important,
Yeah.
is the healing that
Agreed.
we all do as facilitators. And that's the way I look at it. That's the way I think you look at it. We're just facilitators of the healing. We're just
Totally.
there to hold the space.
Oh
And
yeah, and hold the hand. Like, at the end of the day,
yeah.
there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do except give you prompts to
Hmm.
get closer, further, deeper into yourself. Like, because
Right.
I can't force you to do anything, I can't make you do anything, and even if I did, it would backfire anyway. Like,
Right.
so what's the point? Like, there's no point going down that road. So it's like, it's about knowing how to hold the space, knowing how to hold someone's hand. No, because some of this shit's scary. Like, it's
Yeah.
really scary. Like, hand holding kind of sounds like you're diminishing it, but that's not it at all. Like, sometimes you really want someone to hold your hand
And
because
be
it's
in the room with you at the
fucking,
same time when you're dealing with something, to be
yeah,
there.
because it's gonna be big. Like, when you get to the stuff that's really juicy, the stuff that really needs to shift, that really isn't you, that
Yeah.
needs to get out of the way so you can be who you actually are,
Right.
that stuff is brutal. Like, you want someone holding your hand when that's going on.
You definitely do. Yeah. And There was something else that I was thinking of. I was just so engrossed in what you were saying, I've kind of lost the thread. But I was
Mm.
thinking in terms of the healing that people are doing. I just lost it, Hamish. I don't know what I was gonna say. I guess there's the indication that we're on the hour, and I did my other video earlier today, and I probably am running out of steam here, but
Probably
um
are.
yeah,
Yeah.
but if I think of it, I might write a little comment in the video. Um,
Yeah.
I'm really, really happy we had this conversation.
Mm.
I think that I would like to get together again after this portal, whatever it is, because I am really interested to see if some of the things that I've been seeing in terms of the speed with which people are healing. That's what I've been noticing in healing sessions is the speed with which people are plowing through things. And I think that was actually part of what I was going to say is
Mm.
that to watch people do this work, and I know what it was. I was just going to say to you that one of the things that I realized is that I'm no longer working with people that aren't highly motivated to make the shifts. Do you
Yeah.
notice that? I
They
that's what I
just
was
they
gonna.
just don't turn up. They
It,
just don't turn up.
well, it's just like I don't even care if someone wants to spend the money to work with me. It's not about that. It is about we've got to make the progress, and the person
Yeah.
has to really really want to do the work. That is, it's not what I do is not do the work for someone. So if
Yeah.
someone's out there and they just want someone to do the work for them, I can't be that person because it's not that I can't facilitate the healing. I definitely can facilitate it. But, the people that I've been working with, and this is the miracles that I've been seeing, is they're just so focused. They're like, I'm going to go in and I'm going to go take this further and I'm going to go get in the
Yeah.
bathtub with my salts and I'm going to do this process and I'm going to do it in this place, in this place, in this place.
Mm.
It doesn't mean that everybody has to do that work. I don't believe that. I
Mm.
believe that there's certain people that are doing this work. They're unlocking a whole bunch of stuff for access from the universal field for other people to access. And there are these templates of distortion that people are that have taken on. And this is, I guess, maybe what I'm doing is I'm speaking to a lot of the light workers who have been sort of on this path, like going down this road. And those are the people who are, I think, making these really huge shifts. So if
Yeah.
you're someone out there, and I am speaking to our listeners, if you're someone out there and you've been doing this work and there's just a few things that are stopping you or whatever, those are the things that you really hone in on because you've come this far doing that work. You're really dedicated. You're really on it. And you
Mm.
never know if that next pattern that you dissolve for the collective, for the universal field, is going to be that which makes everything flip. And
Yeah.
and so I think that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
I
That's
actually
good.
remembered.
Well done. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that works both ways. Like when the destructive or the distorted patterns get laid on people or laid on groups or laid through language, or it ripples out and it has a much larger effect in the field than the event or the thing would have you believe. And
Right.
so that's got to work both ways.
Yeah.
So you don't need to do a group healing and clear 250 people in the room.
Right.
Like, you just need to help one person shift that thing, and it might be the thing that
That
flips this
ripples.
whole distortion over.
I really
You
believe
never
that.
know.
Yeah, in fact, I'm just gonna give you a heads up. I've got a workshop that we'll have to talk about. I've got a
Mm.
workshop where I've got a way to go in and neutralize all of I want to say all the distortion that you've experienced in your life. And
Mm.
it's a really, really cool process that just came about like within the last couple of days. But that's what I'm saying. Some of these healing tools are coming in, but that's
Yep.
because I think we
Of
flipped
where we are and what
something.
we're doing. Yeah.
Exactly. So Anyways, I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens from here, Hamish. And we are not going to go long before we do another video again because I get a lot of feedback that people really enjoy the conversations that we have. They're always mind blowing for me. We never know what we're going to talk about.
I, that's what makes it so fun.
I know. It's like genuine real time conversation. And yeah, well, anyways, to the people that have made it this far in one of Hamish and Debbie's really long videos, we really appreciate you being with us. If you have anything, any comments, any questions, we always welcome them below. I've got Hamish's information in the description box, so you know how to contact him. How to contact me is also in there. And yeah, I guess we'll just say goodbye for now, right, Hamish?
Yeah, it sounds good. Hold on to your hats and we'll see what comes up.
That sounds good. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye
See ya.
bye.